Okay. Ah, yes, that's why. All right, so in the first part, it was only the definitions, and then I went into the news. So I did the whole beginning stuff, and I was going to be quick about it today. And then the same thing what happened a couple of shows ago happened. That is that suddenly it just closes the window. I don't know why. Are you using OBS? OBS. What is OBS? OBS. I've seen it. I've heard it, but at the moment I can't hear it. No audio. What do you mean no audio? Okay, I can hear audio, so there must be audio. So I've got no idea why there would be no audio. No, I'm not using. I don't know OBS. I'm not using OBS. What I have, but I haven't played with this enough to go and risk it. Is this Minicam streaming software? But I have not played with that, so I do not know how to link that in. So I'll have to go and play with it. But I always think, okay, well then this week I have a lot of time and I can do this, and then for some odd reason, then there's not enough time for anything. So like the script that I had for this Adnan Rashid video, I did on the train. Because I had to go, and then this is the advantage. If you go somewhere, you have 3 hours on the train, where if you go by plane, if you fly, then it's always chopped up, because you have half an hour this, half an hour this, half an hour this, and you can't really settle down and work. But on a train, you just get on, and then you have 3 hours uninterrupted, no phone calls, no nothing. You switch everything off, and you can work. So there you go. Okay, I see Rob is back. I just wanted to go and talk to him because he has been to Speaker's Corner, and I was just wondering if there's anything new, anything exciting, and what he thinks of the idea of doing this together with Ike and doing it as a live stream. What do you think, Rob?
Hey, stop. How are you? I'm good, man. Yeah, Speaker Corner, I was down there today for about 3 hours, actually. It started to rain, and it's got dark and a bit unpleasant. So unfortunately, not much footage. Got about 7 minutes of this crazy Canadian preacher with the Jesus hat. He looks like a cowboy, stands on this tall stool. Quite amusing guy. He was down on one knee. So there was this Italian agnostic lady who was looking for the truth. And he said, come, I'll pray with you now. And so he literally got down. I've got this on video. I'll pop it up on the channel. That's the only video I got from today. It was just, there's far fewer people today. And then a few more people came towards the end, and it started to really rain quite a lot, and I didn't have an umbrella. I did check the weather, and it said 25%. So obviously next time, if it says 25, I'll definitely take an umbrella. So, yeah, I wasn't there for that long, unfortunately. So not as much footage, or didn't really get to speak to too many people, unfortunately. But I do have a video up from last week. I don't know if you saw it, with Big Muhammad about the whole universe thing, and so that's obviously had a lot of views, and I see TS Dave and a number of other people have commented, etc. So, but when you said something earlier on, I was just interested. I made a few notes as you were chatting during the intro of the show, and you said there's things that you like about Islam, and I was keen to understand what you thought was kind of good, or what you enjoyed or liked about Islam.
Oh, okay. Well, number one, it's the social aspect. It has a very strong community. It has a very strong adhesive character, that if you are a Muslim, it doesn't matter where you go, you find other Muslims and you immediately have somewhere to go, and who will give you pointers and who will take you up, and immediately you're a brother or a sister. And that means that you don't have this thing like, if I go somewhere, I am dependent on the, I don't know what you want to call it, on the well, it's not the hospitality. It's the, if you come to South Africa, then people will take you under their wing and they will introduce you. They will take you to some brides. They will take you around, introduce you to their friends. And then well, this is at least what I did. And then I left them alone to find their own circle of friends according to their own wishes. But in the beginning, I showed them the ropes. Now, you don't get this in other countries. This was quite strange for me. So when I came to Germany, for example, people did not care. Like if you left work and that was it. Cheers, bye, see you tomorrow. But there was nobody who said, well, by the way, how are you doing? And where did you find a flat now? Can I show you where to go shopping? Where there's a supermarket? Where do you buy your dishes and blah, blah. Nothing. And if you are a Muslim, you don't have this. You automatically have a social circle of people who will immediately look after you. The other thing that I appreciate about Islam is, for example, the economic system, where you cannot have this Anglo-American bank speculation thing, where everybody is just, watching like a hawk. When is the oil price? Or how can I artificially make the oil price go up so that I can go and speculate, so that I can sell somebody something that I bought for cheap so that I can quickly get rid of it and sell it for more, that I can make some bucks out of this just because the oil is higher. That it's not realistically higher does not matter to them. So it's only speculating money with money without an actual commodity behind it. In Islam, you don't have that. You can only speculate with a commodity that you actually have. And then it needs to be fair. So the way that the Quran addresses this is, yes, you're allowed to make a profit, but you can't charge money on money and you can't rip somebody off. And I think that's brilliant. And I think that is a much more realistic approach towards commerce than the current system that we have in the States or the UK.
Yeah, I think it's also a case of finding a balance, because one of the things that I understand as well is that you can't charge interest under like a Sharia or under Islam, or I don't know if that's in the Quran itself or the Hadith.
The Quran.
Okay. And so, but again, I'm not an economist, so the economist could make a good argument as to what, possibly make an argument as to why that's a good thing. I don't know. But the two things that, if I were pressed to say what, and I agree with you on the sort of whole community thing, it's the same with Christianity or any other sort of large gathering, not every gathering, but a large sort of gathering of like-minded people, you kind of welcomed into the fold. So from a utility point of view, I agree there's some value in it, same as there is Christianity, etc. I think where, if I were to say something positive about Islam, one would be, it was the next attempt to kind of make sense of the world, let's say after Christianity, and probably what it was before Christianity was probably a little bit more barbaric. And so Christianity / Islam, etc., have been our attempts to kind of make sense of things and to codify it, put down some law so that you can kind of get people all singing off the same song sheet, so to speak. So that, could have been, but, we've way outgrown that now. We don't need that anymore. Exactly. And the other thing that I see is Islam, in a sense, being a good thing, is to look back at it and notice where we've come to. So it's almost kind of like a yardstick of what we can measure against. So in a sense, it's like a bad thing that we can look back on. And so in that sense, it's a good thing. So we've got a marker in the sand that goes, hey, here's where we've been, and, here's where we are. So we can kind of measure it. So that would be my sort of view on, I suppose, what could be quite good. But I agree with you on those other points. And I also agree with you when you spoke earlier about, not Muslim bashing. And I think that's one thing, because I've done some psychological work as well, separating a person from the belief. So they have beliefs running around in their head. I always think of it like they're running MS-DOS on their, brain, and perhaps Windows 10 for some of us. And so it's an upgrade of the operating system, but separate that from the person, because the person is more than their beliefs, their thoughts, etc. So they're just running this on the brain. And so, criticize the idea, but not the person, because, if I had MS-DOS still running on my brain, I would probably believe the similar thing. So, and it's not impossible. All we need to do is upgrade it. But obviously there's resistance to an upgrade, from a culture and from an identity point of view. I was listening to something recently, and when people say I am, that becomes very powerful, and you try and live up to that, even if it's not perhaps, 100% accurate. It's just a very powerful thing that people sort of stay behind, and they'll defend it, quite vigorously. And obviously I see a lot of that.
Yeah, but it doesn't, again, this does not mean that I will not criticize a person. Like if like when Zorza was running around, when he was lying left, right, and center, and really bad, I was criticizing him. And
Oh, absolutely, I agree
my
with
God,
you. Call somebody out
absolutely.
when they do that. You are doing X behavior, lying, whatever the case is. I mean, you can, and we do, just because it's normal language to say you are a liar. I suppose if we were more accurate, we'd say, hey, you are lying about X. But it's not, and especially if you're just having a normal conversation, you're not going to get down to the nitty gritty and be 100% accurate. So we just kind of do a blanket label for somebody, but really they're lying about X. They're probably not lying about loving their family, for example. But I agree with you. We just label it you're a liar, but what we really mean is you lied about that particular topic or that subtopic of whatever it is. But you're right, definitely call out negative behavior and ideas and so on.
And it does not mean that I hate Muslims. Okay,
agreed.
I've got friends who are Muslims, and I always say, for example, it didn't matter wherever I was, I found Muslims to be accommodating, to be friendly, to be the most agreeable persons. You could go out with them, you can have a chat and blah, blah. It's only when it comes to Muhammad, it's only when it comes to these things that suddenly the fronts are hardened. So as long as you stay away from these topics, you're good to go. And it's a lot of fun talking. I've been like, come on, I've been laughing, and I've had parties where the girls would dance with you. You can't smooch with them. I mean, well, you can after a while, but then you don't really want to do that. So at the end of the day, they're people, they're human beings. This is the whole point. It's just when you get these automatons like this Sources guy and Rashid, that is when that's when it goes different. That's when that's when the negative influence of Islam comes through. When you get to these radical Islamogists, and then that's it. So, yeah.
Yes, separate the Islam, and you've got a person that you can potentially sit down, have a conversation, etc., etc. And to the degree that they don't bring it in or they don't follow it fundamentally, from our point of view as non-believers, the easier and better they are to have a conversation, to engage with, etc. I think if they're going to make a claim, though, and they're certainly going to make, I'm not going to, like my step family member is a Christian, and this person believes Jesus, etc. Now, I'm not going to bring it up and start questioning them, because they probably have never heard these arguments, and it would be quick and easy to get them into a corner. That's not the point, of course. It's more a case of like showing them that perhaps what they believe doesn't really make sense, or there's some problems with it. But I'm not going to do that unless they bring it up, and then I might ask a question and have a conversation. So I'm not running around trying to deconvert people, but if they bring up a belief that and they're making claims, then certainly I'm probably going to question, not necessarily like I would at Speaker's Corner, but I'm certainly going to ask them, why do you believe that, or whatever the case may be, because I think if people make claims, then they need to have good reasons for believing it.
Yeah, and that is exactly where the Bogosian method comes in, or the I don't know, what do you want to call it? Socratic
method, yeah, his street epistemology, huh?
So if you want to use any one of those, this is when it comes in handy, because it's the gentle approach, it's the questioning approach, without going and putting your cards on the table. You say, oh, that's interesting. How come? Because I've heard about this. Okay, well, what do you think about that? And so on. So this is what you can do.
Yes, there's actually a guy, I think I'm subscribed to him. I'm just looking, here he is. Anthony Magnabosco. Yeah, so if people, let me just see if I've got a link here. If people are interested in sort of his approach, which is the Peter Boghossian approach.
Yeah, on the Gin&Tonic show already. Because
oh, you have?
Oh, yeah. I've been talking about it for half a year already. Even longer, maybe even a year.
Okay, good. Yeah. So
because this is a brilliant approach, and I have practiced it. I've managed to put it through 2 or 3 times. Normally, I get into my barking mode, so it's very difficult talking to people when you are a little bit impatient, like I am.
Yes, exactly. So if you're going to go with that mode, then it's not a technique where you are going to challenge their every belief and call them out, or it's going to be a much softer approach where it's just questioning and not asserting that they're wrong or whatever the case is, rather just letting
and
them
the art of the whole thing is to use questions which lead you on, No, sorry, not lead you on, which lead you on to the next topic, into the next question, into the next statement, into the next area, without closing down the conversation. And that is the art.
Absolutely, because people will get uncomfortable, they'll get into a corner, they don't know what to say, and that's the moment that people who are not, like if you look at his videos, he's sort of chatting to people as they run past him, etc. And the moment people, you challenge their beliefs and you ask them some uncomfortable questions, when it seems like they get in a corner, some people will then kind of want to run away, and it's the art of keeping that conversation going. Not to make, you're not there to make them look foolish, you're really there to question their beliefs and find out what do they believe and why do they believe it, and are those good reasons? It's not to make them look silly. And I think that's the difference from some other approaches, like the presuppositional approach. That's there to make people look stupid, and it doesn't have a basis anyway. So, very different approaches.
And no, I don't tell anybody about the Jinn&Tonic show that I personally know. I try and separate this. People at work know that I know the Quran, I know Islam, yes, but I do not discuss anything with them. I definitely don't tell anybody that I have a YouTube channel. I do not tell them that I discuss Islam in public. No, because that would be suicide. Well, I mean, it would be commercial suicide, because I would immediately have my... the way that it works is you get a visa, and then you get a piece of paper, you get a little card, and this allows you to stay in the country for as long as you are employed. Because as soon as you lose your employment, as soon as you lose your source of income, you need to leave. You are deported. Then you get a questionnaire, and you have to have your employer state that there is no outstanding debt, that there is nothing outstanding that you still need to pay. Only then are you allowed to leave the country. If your employer does not give you that, or should the employer, for example, go bankrupt, leave the country, you are stuck there. So there are people who are stuck in Qatar, for example, who helped build the new airport, who were not taken on when it came to building the subway and the infrastructure, and they are stuck. They don't know that they're just living there without having the ability or the possibility of going back home. They can't do anything. They can't work. They can't do anything. So they are illegal simply because they don't have the papers.
And they can't go to the airport with their passport and say, right, I'm getting on a plane, I'm going back to my country because my employer's left.
Correct, because they don't have this piece of paper.
Okay, that sounds...
So it's quite weird, but it's a very strict immigration policy they have. So if I have my visa revoked, that's it. I'm out, and then I'm never going to be allowed back in. And this goes then for all the Gulf countries, of course.
Yeah, so you got to be quite careful.
I do not talk about this at all at work.
I actually invited a couple of atheists today.
Yeah, I go to mosques, okay? I go to imams, I go to cultural centers, I go to people, and of course I chat with them, but also in a very careful way. Okay, Anthony Magnamusco, Steve Possibility again. No, they really seem to be afraid to talk. Yeah, a lot of them, merchant of doubt and making you think of yourself, oh, you're right, there is no...
I think there's a question for you there. Has Tortoise and his group had any online discussions with you personally?
Did Sources have any personal discussions? No. Well, yes, but not here on the show. He once made it to the Magic Sandwich show.
Yes, I saw a 3-hour conversation there.
And he was like quite badly taken apart there. So I think he learned from that, and he never came onto the Jinn&Tonic show. What he's done, because he's an asshole, okay? I'm sorry if I have to say it like that, but he is. He then sent me messages on Facebook, for example, and immediately, let me try that again. I swear I have not had a drop of alcohol yet. He immediately deleted them so that nobody could see them, but he knew that I was able to see them. So he used to insult me and then quickly run away. But he did not know that I had mastered the art of the screenshot. So then I made videos with these screenshots showing what an idiot he is. And then I took other people who said, Hamza is the greatest, he's the best, he's my God, or the next best thing to Muhammad. And And I took these things and I took them apart, word for word for word, and then I showed these idiots what an idiot this Hamza actually is, and there is no reason to follow him. And that was, I mean, I did the same thing with Adnan now, where I said, listen, you need to check what these people are telling you, because the information that they are giving you is unreliable. Go and check it. I mean, with Adnan Rashid, it was something simple, like third grade arithmetic. And he was wrong on that. And that is how easy it is to check. But you need to do it. So you need to have this critical mindset to be able to do that.
Yeah, and the time to go and research it, because that's the big thing at Speaker's Corner. People can make all kinds of claims. It's much harder and time consuming to go and look them up and to falsify claims or to refute them. But it's very easy to make a claim. So, for example, the one about the Oxford University study of young children supposedly being supernaturally inclined.
The Barrett Petrovich study, yeah.
Yes. Turns out it's not quite the way it's been presented.
Not quite is the understatement of the century. It's never happened. But you need to know these things. Okay, these things will not run past me because I have researched them, and I've done this for years. So these things will not run. So I even know the names Barrett and Petrovich. That's how good I am at remembering this. That's how deep I was in it.
Yes, yeah. And so, they can throw these claims up. Now you've got to go and look them up here. So it becomes problematic for a person who's got to refute a claim live. So you just got to sort of take it on faith, quote unquote, that they are actually speaking the truth. I mean, you can doubt everything, but then it's going to be very disjointed conversation if you're trying to look up things on a phone every single time you have a conversation with somebody. I wanted to touch on something else you said earlier and just get your view, and maybe some viewers, in the chat as well, because you mentioned atheism, and I agree with you, the ism part, but atheists. So I'll run through a couple of things and tell me what your thoughts are. Maybe other people can chime in, because I was thinking about this. And so an agnostic is a claim to knowledge. And so either, with knowledge, it's you either believe it or you don't believe it, or you're not sure. And so that would be, if somebody makes a claim about, like I always use my fire-breathing dragon as an example, you could be agnostic. You could reject the idea outright, or you could accept it. And for me, the atheist goes towards the belief itself. So that's just a particular view on a proposition. So let's call it, the belief in God. Again, do I accept it? Do I reject it? Or am I not sure? And I think it goes towards, there's a certainty in the claim. And also on top of that, there's also how extraordinary is the claim. So I could be from 1% to 99%. I wouldn't say 100, although a lot of religious people say certainty. I'm sure they don't mean it or don't understand, not having absolute certainty. But the bigger the claim, or the more extraordinary the claim, the less likely I am to accept. And I think this is often confused in Speaker's Corner as well. If somebody makes a claim and then they confuse that with knowledge, but they also confuse it with the extraordinariness of the claim itself. So I wonder what your thoughts are on that, because atheist is obviously just the single position on, a non-belief, or I don't believe in a God or gods.
Yeah. That's why I said it's the answer to two different questions. One is the question, do you believe? The other one, do you know?
Yes.
You cannot know, so the whole concept is out the window.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think about Shishan? Okay, atheist is a really fat person because you ate a lot. This is true. Let me just quickly, do you think about the Shishan Convention where they said that Wahhabis were not Sunni? It made Saudi Arabia. This is quite weird. This is not something that people are not aware of, that Wahhabis and Salafis are actually the ones who are trying to reform Islam to go back to what they think was the old way of the four rightly guided caliphs, where you had the original interpretation before the more modernist versions came on in. And this is something that the Wahhabis are trying to reintroduce, which of course doesn't work. And who gets to decide who is Sunni? Well, this goes back to the whole question, because I've asked Speaker's Corner UK, I've asked Rob, what is truth? Okay, how do you get to this? What is a Muslim? What is a Sunni? What is this? You cannot define a Sunni. You cannot say this is somebody who believes that there's a God and that Muhammad is the messenger and that Bukhari and Muslim are the most reliable and authentic text. You can't do that because there are things within the Sunni literature which that person is going to reject. So how much can you reject before you are no longer a Sunni? And this is always the question. You can't go and say, this is a Muslim, because at the end of the day, if you talk to a Muslim and you ask him, well, what is it that you believe? At the end of the day, you will come to the conclusion that there are only two Muslims, the guy you're talking to and Muhammad. Because those are the only things that he will accept, because it will be different to every other Muslim that there is. And this is the problem with Muslims, because it's down to interpretation. The Quran doesn't tell you anything. The Sunnah doesn't tell you anything. It's always interpretation. This is the danger in Islam. And this is why I say Muslims need to take ownership of their own doctrine. They need to own it. They need to define it. They need to fix it. They need to codify this. You can't have the version from 1924 that we have today because it's too vague. You need to put there, does it say that a man can beat his wife, yes or no? If it doesn't say it, well then fucking well go and say so. But don't leave it the way that it is now, where it is down to interpretation. It doesn't work. So that's my answer. You can't say who is a Sunni and who is a Muslim. Just giving the sophist time at Speaker's Corner, credibility for the, well, not really. Look, what is a debate? A debate is where you're trying to bring arguments to the people who already have a specific belief. You're not going to sway anybody, but you are going to sow doubt. You are going to make people realize that there is a problem. And I think, was it you, Rob, who brought up this video? No, sorry, it was Essence of Thought, who came up with an LDM video where they realized, where Tsortis was saying, we have lost the online battle. The battle on the internet. We have lost it because there is too much information on Islam out there and we cannot go and fight that anymore. It's there. And this is the whole point. And this is why I think at the moment people are realizing that Speaker's Corner is very popular. That's why you suddenly have Speaker's Corner's videos coming up left, right, and center, which you never had before. It was like a fringe crowd, and now suddenly it's incredibly popular. So I think there's a huge market here for this one-to-one discussion where you have the possibility to go and make some brownie points for yourself, but you could also go show others what the whole story is. And that is why Sarah is so good, because, I mean, he's just as crazy as a Muslim, but he is very, very good at picking up the little details that people are going to slip by him. And that is the kind of person that you need, who listens to the people, who is wide awake and who can catch them out and say, listen, what are you trying to tell me? Why are you telling me this? Is this really true? What is it? And he does not go off track. He's like a terrier. As soon as he gets his teeth into you, he doesn't let go. That is what we need. This is why Rob is incredibly patient, incredibly polite, and people then try, because they take this for weakness. And they go and try and do the same thing. But then it doesn't work. And this is why I think this is so brilliant. This is why I love watching these videos. And so do others, by the way.
You know, and I'm hoping that we can do something on streaming. You know, I saw a Muslim who went on to GoFundMe and he got like £8,000, just short, 7,900 and something pounds, saying, hey, I need a camera crew. Man, if I had somebody that could come with me, to record all my conversations, but to record other ones, and if we had an opportunity where we could do regular streaming, I'd be happy to do that, because I think there'd be a huge crowd. A lot of people would love to see it live. Obviously, then you've got to go and choose the conversations to have and where to have it. But, you know, that's just logistical stuff that we can work out on the day, and then somehow to be able to monitor some comments and that sort of stuff. But I think that could be useful, because I was thinking about Speaker's Corner is governed by the royal parks here in the UK, and we need more lighting. And ideally, it'd be great if there was an internet connection there, because then you could stream it live, you know, to an account like yours or somewhere, and you could have thousands of viewers on there, because I think people are quite interested in these conversations live, and where they can type stuff. I think that would be very useful. So I'm going to see if something can be done on that front in some way.
Okay, well, I'm wondering what this is going to be like when Ike is going to join you. It's a pity I'm not in the UK because I'd love doing that. I read somewhere that the inspiration for going back to the old ways is based on the Israeli movement from Europe to today's Israel. That they want to leave the heritage places back to the... Okay, I do not know. This is something I've never heard. Israeli movement from... No, but hang on, the Wahhabis is older than that. And Salafis definitely. No, I mean, this movement of back to the roots, this is like 500 years old. I mean, even the old Ottomans, they said, well, we need to go back. And they didn't quite make it. And then when they were annihilated like 100 years ago, people then said, okay, well, if we had done what they wanted to do, and that has gone back to we wouldn't have been so weak, which is a stupid argument. But that's in hindsight what people will say. I've never heard this. I mean, there could be some merit to this, but I have never heard of this. I've never thought about this. I've never bumped into this thing that it has anything to do with the Israelis.
Yeah, not my area of expertise.
At least the UK has just very few atheists. What? What is Ike saying there?
There's very less, at least, atheists. I'm not sure.
I'll share the link in the comments section later. Okay, do that.
Yeah, Ventriloquist Doll was saying live stream it on Periscope. I did actually test that. I was going on the river. I took a river cruise and I live streamed it on Periscope, and I got a few people viewing it. But then it's a case of holding a mobile phone, and I'm holding a little action camera at the moment to record as well, to try and get these. But I really need somebody else that's prepared to that's keen to film. Maybe that they don't want to speak, because I'm quite happy to speak. If I didn't have to and I could have them all filmed, I would do that. Or to have somebody else that can carry a camera and either live stream or record. I'd get a lot more videos that way.
Oh, teaist. Okay. That was a joke. The teaist. They have tea drinking tea people in. Yeah, okay.
Yes, yeah, they do.
Ladies, welcome, Alassa. I hope you're ready for the Hadith of the week. I've got one just in case. Didn't you want to talk about Ashura today?
Yeah, sorry, I missed yesterday. I had some business to take care, but maybe in the middle it'll take about 15 to 20 minutes, and I'll give you the lowdown on Ashura. I'm
in
sure
the middle,
it's going to be very interesting.
Are you aware that the rest of the world has had a time shift?
Yeah, no, I know. Oh, shoot. Yeah, I know we had a time shift, but I did not relate it to England. They don't have time shift.
We are in the middle because we've already had 1 hour.
Oh, well, we can do it next week.
That's the first time I hear you. No, it's no problem, man. Okay, look, you can whenever you want to. Because I've got Raven here who wanted to talk about removing kids from radical parents, but now Raven's not here. Then I've got you talking about Ashura and the Hadith of the week. Now, I don't know, are you going to do it or not, or next week? Ashura is a good way to stretch your back.
Well, give me about 5 minutes and I can do it now. Just going to get my notes ready, and I can do it now.
Oh, that would be brilliant, yeah. Because we've got an open session today. I don't have any other topics today. I was just so surprised to see old Miriam without a hijab, than to see that she's actually a female with hair and neck and everything, that I completely forgot all about a topic. All right, you go get your papers.
Yeah. Yep, in about 5 minutes I'll be ready.
Great stuff.
Open up in the computer. And all right.
I got the joke. I didn't. Ashura is a good way to scratch your back. Exactly. Thoughts? Okay, he's gonna, and I'm not going to talk about this. Let him talk about this, because I've seen this live, and I tell you, it's frightening. It's horrible. Thoughts on the latest Assange interview with email exchanges published accusing America, case and Qatar from arming? I don't know. I don't have any thoughts on that. I must be quite honest. There's so much bullshit going on. There's so much. I'm accusing you of this, and now there's a counter accusation, and then there's this and this. I do not believe anything I hear about any of that. I stay out of that and say, I don't know. Because I don't know who is arming ISIS and where they get this stuff from and where they originated from. And I don't think it is important. Because we're not going to stop it. If we could stop everybody from producing weapons, brilliant. So be it. That would be my dream solution. Everybody stops. Then we don't have this problem anymore, because after a while, weapons will get destroyed and they will become obsolete. If everybody stops building them, we don't have any more weapons to arm other people with. That would be the best. But unfortunately, humans are not ready for that yet, it seems. So who is going to arm ISIS terrorists? Who knows? The thing, I think by now, a lot of people have learned that if you arm the people that you think are going to benefit you in your politics, in your view at the moment, at some point they will be used against you. I think people are slowly starting to learn that.
Yeah, the American elections are crazy, aren't they? Two very unqualified people, really.
And the thing is that, okay, I always maintain a lot of people are really just stupid, and you need to cater for them. I mean, if you look at the TV programs, if you have like a Big Brother show and people watch this, it doesn't say a lot for the intellectual level of humankind, does it? But it's popular. And I don't understand, if you look for something, you're being given what is popular, which is not exactly what I'm looking for. That's stupid.
Yeah, sometimes I listen to people and I don't have a lot of hope for the human race, but then I remind myself it's a small subset, so it's not everybody.
The Irish have joined ISIS. Really? At least one of them. Okay. Clinton is highly qualified. Clinton is highly qualified in what? To do what? Is she going to get a blowjob at work as well, or what?
Because she was Secretary of State, I guess. But of course, there's so many things that's going on. Yeah, but it depends if you mean great politician as in to be untruthful, dishonest, lying, bullshitter. Yeah. If that qualifies as great politician, maybe I prefer the bullshitter word, but maybe great politician is synonymous with that as well nowadays.
I think so, yes. I think you have to be.
But I mean, I've got such a dislike for Clinton that if I had a gun to my head, I'd vote Trump. That's how I feel about it. And I wouldn't want to vote Trump either, but I just have such a dislike, and I feel she's the most dishonest. If there was a devil, she'd be the incarnate female version of that. I'd have a hard time deciding between her and Kim Jong-il. That's how negative I have towards her personally. She's just diabolical. And, had Sanders been the nominee, this would have been a cakewalk for him. Yeah. I think a lot of Republicans would have, voted for him over Trump just because, he's more sane, etc., even though he's a socialist. But of course, the DNC made sure that he wasn't going to be the nominee. And of course, with the way they fiddled things there with the super delegates and all kinds of things that they've been doing, and putting certain voting booths in places that were difficult for people to get to, where they knew that he would have a majority, etc. It's been, if it could be revealed exactly what went on just from the Democratic Convention themselves, that group, and the emails have done some of that. It's just diabolical.
It is. Yeah. But now, look at it. Let me just quickly finish my thought then. If you look at the United States of America, are Hillary Clinton and Trump really the two most outstanding people that this country has to offer to lead the country, to represent the country? Are those really the best that this entire huge nation could come up with?
Well, Clinton's been chosen, hasn't she? So it's not as if people actually voted for her because they think she's doing a good job. And if they do, they probably haven't investigated very much. And Trump has got his own money. So I think what people like is he's not part of the establishment. And he can say all kinds of crazy things. And people go, you know what, I'd rather have that than the establishment that's been going on forever. And so, he seems to be able to get away with a lot. So I'm not sure that he was chosen per se. It could be that people just went, do you know what, I'll have him over any of these other, career politicians. But Clinton, that was chosen, from what we can understand from the very beginning. So.
And now the second part of my question, was Muhammad the best man available on the whole Arabian Peninsula? Is that really the best the Arabs could bring forward? Muhammad?
Yeah. Somebody in the questions thing, they're also asking about, did you see that Majid Nawaz, part of the were labeled anti-Muslim extremist on the Southern Poverty Law Center, which is like an extreme left organization, isn't it?
Well, the way that he ended up is by criticizing extremists. It's crazy. I hope Americans watch this and agree before voting. I think we're often misled to thinking all elections are legit. Yeah, exactly. You need money and celebrity to be a risky candidate to vote. Okay. All right then, Alasa, hit it. Let's hear what you have collected about Ashura, which is I'm hoping is going to be really, really interesting.
All right, sure. Before I go, I need a couple of questions. One from speakers. Did you have the chance to talk to any Muslim about the Earth was created in 6 days?
No, not so far. I'll remember to put that in a list. I won't be there next week, so it'll be 2 weeks' time with my friend that's coming over to visit, and that'll live stream. So I'll make a note to ask about the 6-day creation, but no, not at the moment.
Okay, just to give you a little bit more on this one, I looked up the tafsirs on them as well, and they basically all say the same thing. There was a pagan named Al-Harith, who's telling Muhammad, hey, Muhammad, I mean, you've been warning us for punishment from the Lord. He hasn't given us any. We've been doing it for years. So that's when Allah reveals this verse. Allah starts by saying, they're asking you about hastening punishments. And then he says, well, we always fulfill our promises. That's when he says that Allah's one day is 1,000 years of your reckoning. Basically, sometime before the day we'll get to it, might be several decades in your time. So that's how that hadith works. Secondly, I just wanted to mention, if anybody sees a cartoon by Side 10 about the Qurayshi Defense League, where Tommy Robinson with his poppy is telling Muhammad and his followers to integrate properly into the Arab culture. It's a hilarious cartoon if you want to hear it. Now I'm going to start off with the Ashura. Month of Muharram is the key month in Islamic calendar. It's the first month of the Islamic calendar, and from the 1st to the 10th is extremely important for the Shia Muslims. On 1st of Muharram, Hussein was confronted with the army of Yazid at Karbala. So, and on the 10th, he was killed. Generally, for these 10 days, all the Shias go down to their, they call them Imam Bargaz. And in the evening, they do something called Matam, where they cry and beat their chests. The people who deliver these stories for Ashura are called Zakirs. And some of these storytellers who are good storytellers, they demand big bucks to go into the mosques, and they tell stories and wound people up, and then they cry and they curse people who are responsible for the death of Hussein. And the 10th is the big finale. That's when they move into the processions throughout the city. And during this month, especially this period, the Shias are targeted by Sunnis. And most Sunni Shia violence takes place in the month of Muharram. Now, the story of Karbala is written by many scholars. Tabari is one, Ibn Khaldun is one, and Ibn Kathir is one, and they each have a slightly different version, and no two version matches with each other, and each one try to make a sense as to who is to be blamed for Karbala. But every scholar ignores that the entities who are responsible for the massacre of Hussein is Allah and Muhammad, as will go by the story. Just for the background, Ali dies as the fourth caliph, and his brother Hassan, not Hussein, takes over the reins, and the Muawiyah, who is the governor of Syria, challenges him. Eventually, these two fix their differences. Hassan resigns, and Muawiyah becomes the Khalifa of the Muslims. 10 years in his reign, he appoints his son Yazid to be the future Khalifa after he dies. A lot of the people object to it, but they kind of don't do anything about it. After Yazid dies, Hassan is already dead. So Hussein is his brother who lives in Medina. Yazid sends a message to Medina to the governor named Walid, and asking Walid to take pledge of allegiance from 4 people. One of them is Hussein, Abdullah bin Umar Khattab's son, Al-Zubair, and one more person, I can't recall his name. Once he gets the message, he summons Hussein into his palace and asks him to give allegiance. At that time, Marwan, who is a military general, is also present there. And Hussein tells him that a pledge of allegiance should be given in an open mosque, and he needs time till tomorrow so he can make up his mind and then give his allegiance. And then he leaves. Everything is fine. Then he goes to pray at Muhammad's tomb. Now, this is according to Al-Tabari. When he goes to the tomb, that's where he gets a vision, where Muhammad tells him that the turbulence time for you lie ahead, and you will be martyred by his followers, and Allah is going to lift his status. And there are a couple of hadiths that are very important. One of the hadiths says one day when he was a baby, 7 years old or 6-year-old, the angel visits Muhammad and he brings in some dirt, and he tells him that this is from Karbala, and his grandson Hussein will be martyred there. And Muhammad gives that dirt to Salama, his wife, not to his favorite wife, and he tells him that when this dirt turns into blood, that means Hussein has been martyred. And also there is another hadith where he sucks his tongue, also plays in a big part in how the scholars see the whole matter. Now, after he visits the grave, he decided to leave Medina and moves over to Mecca. So him and Zubair had left there earlier on, escaped there earlier on. He moves to Mecca where he has some support. Now, while Hussein is in Mecca, the news of Yazid's arrival arrives all over the place, and Hussein is receiving letters from Kufa. Just to the background of Kufa, Kufa was Ali's headquarters. That's where the family of Ali had the most support. And the people of Kufa are writing letters to Hussein in Mecca. and they're asking him to come over. We are going to give you our pledge of allegiance and to start a rebellion against Yazid.
And this is also where the first Kufic script was developed.
Correct, correct. And now, once he receives the letters, he decides to send his half brother, Muslim bin Aqil, to Kufa to find out as to what is happening there. Is it for real or it's a joke? Now, other thing I don't believe is 10,000 people wrote letters. I don't think there are 10,000 people in Kufa today who can read and write, let alone in those times. Anyway, so Muslim bin Aqil leaves for Kufa. In the meantime, Yazid in Syria finds out as to what is happening, and he has a governor in Kufa named Numan who is very friendly with Hussein. So Muslim arrives in Kufa, and he's surrounded by people. Everybody gives him the pledge of allegiance on behalf of Hussein. So Aqil writes a letter right away to Hussein, asking him to leave Mecca and come to Medina. In the meantime, when Yazid finds out that the Muslim is in Kufa, he calls in his meeting. One of his advisors is a surgeon who's also was advisor for his father, and they decided that they got to stop Hussein. He also gets a letter from one of the advisors of the governor of Kufa named Numan, that this guy is extremely weak, and they ask Yazid to replace him. So after he gets the advice from surgeon, they decided to appoint an individual by the name of Ubaydullah Ziyad. He is a really tough military man. So they sent him, some tradition says with 17 men, and some traditions say with 40 men. So he arrives in Kufa. When he arrives in Kufa, he is wearing a black turban, and their faces are veiled. And people are thinking that this guy is Hussein, and everybody start to cheer, start to give him a pledge of allegiance. And when Ubayd has to fight his way up to the door of the governor, who also sits on the balcony and welcoming him, still thinking that this guy in a veil is Hussein. Now, when Hussein lifts his veil, he really scolded Numan and fires him as his governor. And then he orders that, the next day he goes to the mosque and he delivers a very tough sermon, warning Kufans against any revolt. And he asks some of the people in the mosque to write down the names of the people who were supporting Ali. And one of the supporters' name was given to him the next day, that Ubaydullah Zayed, brings that person into his palace and kills him. But there are his supporters outside waiting for him. Eventually, more and more people gather in the courtyard. Then Ubaydullah goes to the roof and he tells them that he has been killed and warns them that there are army coming, and if any one of you try to support the rebellion, you will be dealt with severely. So eventually people start to talk to each other and the crowd just leaves. And when Muslim bin Aqil finds out what has happened, he is really distressed. Then the next day they arrested Muslim bin Aqil and they beheads him. But before he was beheaded, he ends up writing a letter back to Hussein, asking him not to come here. The people of Kufa have betrayed you. And at this time, you do not have any support at all. So go back, don't come to Kufa. In the meantime, upon receiving the letter, Hussein is already left, despite being told by every one of his companions not to go there. He decided to go there, even take his family. So he's already halfway through Kufa. Just as a note, from Medina, from Mecca to Kufa is around 900 kilometers. And Karbala is actually around 90 kilometers north. So I find it odd that how did Hussein end up 90 kilometers north to Karbala while, the Kufa was 90 kilometers closer. It's kind of, we don't know what happened, why he ended up much, much further than Karbala. And according to the Muslims, there are 14 stops along the way. So Hussein was right in the middle at the 7th stop when he got the news that the people of Kufa have reneged on their allegiance. Now, Hussein gets all his people together and told them what is happening, what has happened, and asked them if they want to leave, they can leave. Some of the people start to leave, but some of them are still with him. But at that point, according to some tradition, like according to Tabari, it was at the grave that Muhammad told him that he's going to be martyred. According to some tradition, at this stage, Hussein says that he had a dream where the Prophet told him not to stop and asked him to go to Kufa. Now, in the meantime, Ubaydullah has also called another general along with the 4,000 troops from Turkey, because Yazid's army was still in the neighborhood fighting jihad with the Turks. So he had 4,000 people available. Now he sends 1,000 people to stop Hussein. Now when Hussein gets near Kufa, a general by the name of Hur stops Hussein, but he actually likes Hussein. So he tells Hussein that I have got orders to arrest you and to seek allegiance. And he said that, hey, listen, I got these 2 bags of mail which people have pledged allegiance to me, and I came to see him. And Hur said, well, I never wrote any letter. But anyway, he says, you cannot go to Kufa. Either you can go somewhere else, you can't go back either. So Hussein, at this point, it's unclear. So Hussein went someplace at another different stop while Hur's 1,000 men are following. And Hur also sent a message to Kufa, which isn't very far, informing Abdullah Ziyad as to what is happening. Now, Ziyad is not very happy with Hur. So he sends another of his general by the name of Omar. He sends Omar to confront him. Now, Omar ends up meeting Hussein in Karbala. That's where he stops him. This is where he meets him, and apparently Hussein makes an offer to Omar. And he says that, okay, either let me go back, I'll go back to Mecca, or let me go to the border area where you're fighting jihad against the Turks, and I will also fight jihad against the Turk, or let me go to Yazid, and I will make my peace with the Yazid. So he sends a message back to Kufa, to Ziyad. And Ziyad has an advisor by the name of Shimmer. And the Shimmer advises Ubayd. He said, these guys are not listening to you. They are not following your orders. You need to send somebody who will deal severely with the Hussein. So Zir, with the letter. In the letter, it states that either you get allegiance from Hussein, or you are dismissed as a general, and Shimmer is going to be the general. He goes back with the letter, and then he tells Omar that this is the letter. Either you're going to follow his orders or you're dismissed. Where Omar says, okay, I am going to follow his orders. So this is when they attacked on the 10th of Muharram, and Hussein is killed. That's basically the story of Ashura. One thing I noticed is Tabari, whenever he mentions the name of Hussein, he mentions peace be upon him. And then some of the other characters like Shimmer or Abdullah, in front of his name, he always writes, may Allah curse them. So that was really odd. That's the story of Karbala. And as you can see, it was Muhammad and Allah urging him to get martyred. So he can get a very high status in the heaven.
What does it mean to get martyred?
Martyred is, fighting and getting killed.
So it does not mean that you are torturing yourself. It does not mean that you are instigating any kind of violence by yourself, but it actually means to go and kill yourself.
Well, he didn't actually kill himself. There was actually a
It
battle
means to
that
die
took place. They were attacked, and there was a battle that took place.
To
Hussein
martyr
did fight back.
yourself would be in the valley.
No, the Shia version is very different. In Shia version, they actually tried to say how horrible the Sunnis were perpetrating massacres, and the Shia, the Sunni versions kind of blame Shias for it, but nobody blames Allah and Muhammad. So it was all predestined. So
This is it, isn't it? Between two, one thought it was it should have been hereditary, should have been political through by an election. Genealogical, whereas the Sunnis think it's electoral.
Well, like when Ali's son Hassan became Khalifa, that was hereditary too.
Okay, do we need to explain the Shia-Sunni split again, or does everybody know about this?
Well, the split is already there. It's just that the Karbala makes it worse.
Yeah.
You have Shia.
Maybe you could just give a very brief split, because I know about it, but not much about it. So it'd be useful, because I don't really see many Shias down in Speaker's Corner anyway. So maybe you could give the briefest of differentiations between the two.
Alasa, you or me? You go.
Yeah, I'll tell him. After Muhammad died, there was nobody in charge as to who was going to manage the state. A few people, which included Abu Bakr, Omar, they went, actually, the Ansaras, the people of Medina, that were gathering together and trying to pick a leader. And Umar bin Khattab and Abu Bakr, they decided to go to the meeting and convince them that Abu Bakr would be the best candidate. So Abu Bakr was selected as the Khalifa. In the meantime, a lot of the people believed it should have been Ali. They believed that Umar bin Khattab and Abu Bakr conspired to kick Ali out of the loop. But at that time, they did not fight back. They just supported Ali. Now, when Ali finally became a Khalifa, they supported Ali. And eventually, after Karbala, the split became even more powerful at the time. The word Shia actually means supporter. In Arabic terms, they call them Shiane Ali, the supporters of Ali. So this is where the split begins. It gets deeper after Karbala.
Yeah, because then there's a whole thing that Muawiyah fights Ali, and then it's. But you see, the whole thing is we don't have any reliable evidence for any of this. These are all stories. Okay, this is not history.
No, you're correct. I mean, there's no historic, really any powerful evidence that the battle at Karbala ever took place. These are stories.
As I understand it, it's about 90% of the world's Muslims are Sunni and 10% Shia, and Iran is one of the only Shia majority Muslim countries.
Not quite.
No, that's not correct.
Okay.
About 80% are 80% of them are between 80 to 85% are Sunni, and then you have others, Shias, anywhere from 12 to 15%. The majority countries, Shia, are Iran and Iraq. And also
Bahrain.
Bahrain, yeah.
This is why you had the revolts in Bahrain. Sorry, I'm just nibbling on a piece of cheese. You had the revolts in Bahrain because you have a majority Shia population which is being governed by a minority Sunni emirate, emir. This is the bone of contention there. Now, it's a pity that Ike is not here because Ike has just done a history lesson where he, on his show, has presented the findings of historians, the way that they see the stories, how they can fit together. Because people have tried to put the stories that you hear together with the history that we know. And then you go all the way from the Saudi Arabian Peninsula all the way up to Tashkent. And you can see all these different developments where the Shias do develop from inside Iran and how the people all fit together, blah, blah, blah. But it's a whole story. You need like 4 or 5 hours to go through the whole history, how everything developed and how this fits together. So it's quite a complex topic to understand the history of what happened at the time over those 200 years.
Well, just as a note, I don't know if you guys knew or not, Iran until 1500 was a vast majority Sunnis. They were conquered by the Safavids, who were Shias, and they converted everybody into Shias. Now, the Shias claim that they were not forcibly converted into Shias, while the Sunnis claim, yes, they were. People were forced to come to the mosque and curse the Sahabas and the whole works here and there. Before 1600 hit, Iran was a Shia. Before it, they were all Sunni. I don't know if you guys knew that or not.
Yeah, no, I wasn't aware of that.
Did you know that?
I was, yes, because I just heard this because I am part of the show where I just presented all of this.
Okay, all right.
because he went into the history side. So he presented what historians think about this. He didn't start at the Islamic side or the Muslim storytelling side, but he started on the other side, and then tried to tie this in with what we know from, or what we know from historians and what we're being told by Muslims. There you go.
Can I ask a quick question on something separate? I wanted to actually catch hold of Mansour as it happened, because it's a slightly separate topic, but I wonder if you guys could just confirm whether this is true. Are there sort of 4 stages that a woman needs to go through in Islam if she wants a divorce from a man? And if so, what are those 4 stages?
No, it's you can't answer it like that. This topic is like, okay, you've heard of fiqh, right?
Fiqh? No.
Yeah.
Well, if I have, then just remind me.
It's the legal procedures.
Oh, right. Okay.
So you have the way that it works is people take what is in the Quran, mix it with what is in the Sunnah, and then, because this is unclear, people then go and interpret this. And from this, you derive a set of rules which are then further interpreted and then integrated into life in different ways. So you have the ulema, the authorities in jurisprudence, coming to an agreement, the so-called ijma. And they then go and they say, okay, according to the scholars of jurisprudence, we think that the right process is A, B, and C. But this depends on the madhab. This depends now on what area you are in. So this can vary depending on whether you are in Central Western Africa, or whether you're in Indonesia, or even whether you're in Saudi Arabia. So you have different implementations of different legal principles in different areas of the Islamic world.
Okay, so there isn't one sort of 3 or 4 step process that everybody follows.
No, you can have like in India, you can have this principle, for example, where you say, I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you, and you're divorced. Okay, then you have the legal rulings on how much you need to pay the woman that you paid for when you divorce her, whether or not you have to compensate her children, and how much of this is going to cost you, or whether or not, or whether she has to go back to the family. And this is why you have these Sharia courts, or these Sharia councils, they're called in the UK, which do all this kind of reckoning, because this is a highly complex structure you have there that Muslims have, due to the fact that they are allowed to have 4 wives. So it says in the Quran, if you are not happy with one wife, divorce her, and Allah will replace her with a better one. So it's very easy to get rid of your wife, and then you go and say, let's have a different one. Oh, goodness, this is so difficult.
So women can't do that, obviously.
Well, again, it depends. Yes, a woman can. A woman can go to a Sharia council and say this to the judge: listen, I have been abused, or my husband is not up to scratch and standard scratch, whatever. I would like to divorce him. Then, under certain conditions, yes, the woman can initiate divorce as well.
Okay, but she certainly can't say, I divorce you, divorce you, divorce you, and it's...
No, that is not possible.
I'll see if I can find that video, because Mansour was talking about this, and I found that interesting. So, and then of course he is a great guy for shifting the burden of proof. Well, you show me a better way. Here's the Muslim way, quote unquote, and then you show me a better way. And of course he was speaking to somebody that didn't really know a lot about it, but that was inquiring about it. So I wanted to bring that up to see what you guys thought about it.
Well, like always, there is no Muslim way. Okay, Alassa, was that it?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What did you say?
I was wondering, is that all you wanted to say about the Ashura?
unless there is something that you didn't understand. That's basically a short summary. It's just a long story, and I could take an hour
Yeah, this is the whole problem.
telling every single detail.
The one thing that I didn't understand is, how did it come that Ashura is now seen as the festival of punishment?
Well, you know, the Shia, they actually see it as a spiritual. It's their spiritual aspect. Self beating themselves is part of spirituality. But you know, one thing that I don't understand is, you know, in India, for example, you take the Indian subcontinent. These people didn't convert to Islam until 4 or 5 centuries later.
Yeah.
And once they join in, they beat themselves up as well. Like I've seen people who convert to Shiism simply so they can beat themselves up. That's part of the shtick of the religion that they find is beating themselves up. And they had nothing to do with the killing. You know, their ancestor has nothing to do with the killing.
So it's not only me who has a problem understanding all the different bits and pieces, how they fit together.
But
Okay.
nobody does. That's why, you know, you know, when these people tell this story, these hadiths of Muhammad play a huge part. For example, Muhammad has prophesied that the very first of his army that will attack Constantinople will be going to heaven. They get a blanket ticket to hell. Now, Yazid was the commander of the very first army who attacked Constantinople, and many of Muhammad's companions went to that war simply to go and become a martyr there, so they can go to hell. So even when they talk about Yazid with Sunnis, you know, they believe that he is going to go to heaven, even though he killed Hussein, because, you know, Muhammad said that everybody will.
Okay.
You know, on the other hand, they also say that some of them that Hussein was a rebel and Yazid may not be legitimate, but he was actually a Khalifa. So the Sunnis are divided in this as well. They fight among themselves over this incident.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Alasa on Ashura, on the Shias? Nothing. Silence.
Yes. I have a question.
Okay.
Why do the Shias lash themselves in the day of Ashura?
That's what you just explained.
I was not here. I was.
No, but this is what Alasa has just explained, that this is just a spiritual remembrance to remember what had happened in the past as a historic reliving of the events of the pain and the struggle of Hussein.
Okay.
Thief of the week.
Thunder, your internet connection always sounds like it's drunk. Why? Because it's funny, because you start off, then you go away, then you come back, then you drift off again, and then it comes back. It's quite strange. Okay, try saying this again.
Slightly better.
Okay, did anybody understand what was that?
No.
I think he said, "Is that any better?"
Oh, no. Wow.
How about that?
Oh, what did you just do?
Is a piece of paper from my laptop. I think it may have been covering my mic. I do apologize.
Yeah, you're perfect now.
I was going to say, hadith, I actually do have a hadith prepared with some points that I often mention to my family and other Muslims and why I left Islam. I could perhaps read the hadith and then look at bring out the counterpoints that they me, and then I ask with reference to the hadith.
Okay, Alassa, do you have a hadith of the week for today?
Yes, I have one.
So, okay, then Thunderous, you do yours not as a hadith of the week, but just as a reference, and I will leave mine for the next time. Okay. Thunderous, go for it.
Okay, then. So the hadith that I'm going to use this from Bukhari, Volume 4, Book 544. Allah's apostle said, the first group of people will be glittering. Can you not hear me?
No, it's cutting in and out.
Okay, so what I'll have to do is I'll have to take.
Fading in and out. You're fading in and out.
Okay, I'll have to leave it till next week.
And you should actually, have you ever tried listening to yourself?
No. Oh yeah. What? It's never the show the following day, and there doesn't seem to be an issue when I'm listening to it when you put the post on YouTube.
Okay, because if you go back to what you said now, it should be very obvious. I mean, it can't compensate for that because it's like drifting in and out, and it's like really you cannot understand it. Somebody saying like lol, like share singing.
I'm thing with other people when they're talking as well. I don't know if that's. I don't think it's my connection. I hope it's not. It's BT. I paid enough for it.
All right. I don't know where that's what it sounds like.
What sort of connection have you got? Upward connection, because people are asking, are you on a VPN or some kind of secure connection, or is it just a standard home connection?
Standard home.
What sort of upload speed have you got?
That's a very good question, and it's at the moment.
When you got a chance, type in speedguide.net and do a little speed test, and it'll give you your upload speed. As long as nothing else is doing an upload, and you got more than, let's say, 512K, you should be fine with voice only.
Okay, but that's a different issue altogether. Then you try and do this then for next week, because at the moment it's really difficult to distinguish anything that you are saying. So I don't think I'm being difficult here in saying I cannot understand anything. Look, even the people in the chat are saying no. You can't understand it. Stop downloading porn while you're doing the show. No, it's just, I don't know. It's quite weird though that you should be cutting in and out like that, because even like it's exactly like Rob says. I mean, even a slow connection should be enough for voice only. So I don't know why. Okay, Wally, did you have another question, or was this just for fun?
No, I don't have another question.
Oh, okay, because I don't want to be told later you ignored somebody or something like that. All right,
No.
Then if that is it, then we have learned a great deal today. We can go and take it away next week. Once again, if anybody's listening, in 2 weeks on the 20th, we're going to have a show which is going to be 2 hours earlier. 18, 17, 16, I don't know. I will have to see how many hours exactly. I'll have to discuss this with Hyde. Because we're going to have a live show, really a live show, where we're going to be live streaming from the Speakers Corner UK in Speakers Corner London, supported by Speakers Corner UK. And Aiku's going to go down there, and the two of them are going to find some friendly people that they can have a chat with.
I think probably 2 p.m. UK time, between 2 and 4, because by 4 p.m. it gets dark. I mean, I'll bring a little light along anyway, but between 2 and 3, I'd say 3 o'clock latest. Otherwise, you won't get that much timing before it gets dark. And if it's raining, obviously that'll be a bit of a challenge, but we'll take an umbrella anyway.
Okay, but at the moment we're on the same time, right? That UTC is equal UK time.
Yeah, I'm 8 o'clock now.
Oh, so it's not.
What are you now?
I'm on 21.
Okay, yeah. So we've gone back. The clocks have gone back here.
So you're on 20. Yeah, but hang on, 20. No, that's true. Then that is UTC.
Yeah, correct.
All right, so then it's going to be 2 hours earlier because 4 hours earlier because we're going to go from 18 to 14. And then we're going to, if we start at 14, we can go until 16, we can go until 17, whatever, and we should be okay with daylight, right?
Well, it'll get dark by a little after 4. So, but as I say, I'll bring along a light so we can sort of flash a light either in my face or in Ike's face rather than whoever we're speaking to. If it's
not Ike's face. Who wants to see Ike's face?
Well, it depends who we're speaking to, because if it's the regulars there, they don't mind being filmed, they don't mind having a light in their face. If it's somebody that just wanders along, it depends. They may not be as comfortable having a light shined in their face. But I've got a diffused light here, so hopefully that'll help. So yeah, I'd say if we can start the stream around 2, latest 3 p.m. UK time or UTC, then at least we'll get an hour, probably 2 in.
Okay, so I'm going to do this, that the next Gin&Tonic show, not the next one, the one after this, on the 20th, the Gin&Tonic show is going to go from 2 to 4 UTC, or 2 to whatever time. And Ike, being a Muslim, I'm sure he can convince people to talk to him with a little bit of light. I don't know if people actually know that he's officially a Muslim. He took the Shahada on camera.
No, I wasn't aware of that.
Yep. This was a big joke because he went there and they said, well, are you prepared to take the Shahada? I said, oh, okay, fuck, yeah, why not? I'll just take the Shahada. What do I have to do? Well, say, La ilaha, okay, La ilaha. So not knowing what he did, he just repeated it. He says, well, now I'm a Muslim. Okay, cheers.
Is there a link in their video for that?
Okay, ask Ike. I'm sure he's got it.
Okay.
Okay, might come down for that. Oh, okay, TDS Dave is he's gonna support you. He's gonna hold the light. He's gonna hold the lighter. Did you say a light or a lighter?
Well, if Dave is interested in either talking or in some way involved, because I've seen Dave doing some great comments on some of my videos. So anybody like that is welcome. It'll be great to have. So yeah.
So he's going to be the lighter holder.
Or the debate. I'm happy to film other people who are smarter than I am. I'm by no means a smart guy. So
stop
either way,
fishing for compliments.
But it'll be good.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. That was the Gin&Tonic show for today. It's the 6th of November. I can't handle this. I can't handle that. It's like Christmas. I hate Christmas with a passion because you need to spend time with people you hate.
Hadith. You're forgetting the Hadith.
I'm forgetting the Hadith.
You're forgetting the Hadith.
Allah, sir. Yes. Alas, sir.
How could you miss Hadith?
How could I miss the Hadith?
Okay. Well, all right. It is a very interesting question. There's one of the human bodily functions that happens, naturally, that Allah loves.
Blowing your nose.
Take a guess which? Yes, that's correct. And there's another functions that Allah dislikes, but Satan loves it. Anybody knows which function is that?
I don't know.
Okay, that's yawning.
Oh, okay.
So like when Allah wants to be happy, He just makes us sneeze, and we say a word that makes Him very happy. And if Satan wants to have some fun, he makes us yawn. And we are supposed to say some word that does not make Satan happy. And if we forget to say that, then it helps him. Here's the hadith. It's Sahih Bukhari, volume 8, chapter 73, hadith number 245. Narrated Abu Huraira. The Prophet said, Allah loves sneezing, but dislikes yawning. So if any one of you sneezes and then praise Allah, every Muslim who hears him has to say tasmit to him. But as regard yawning, it is from Satan. So if one of you yawns, he should try his best to stop it. For when any yawns, Satan laughs at him. See how much of entertainment we provide for Satan and Allah, both of them.
It is absolutely amazing.
We should be go directly to heaven just for the pleasure that we provide to both of them.
Wow. Okay. All right. Thank you, Alasa, once again for the entertainment for us and for the devil. I mean, you're gonna be good to go. I mean, you know, when the day comes of the judgment of everything, your fingers, your elbows, and your knees are gonna have so much positive things to say to Jesus. So you're gonna be good. All right.
Oh yeah,
Anybody?
I'm gonna tell Allah how much sneezing I did to make him happy.
Exactly. At least 4 times a day.
That's right.
This was the Gin and Tonic Show.
All right.
The Gin and Tonic Show, where we discuss Islam. And if you want to join in, come to godless.ch. And it is 1800 UTC PM, 1800 PM UTC, wherever you are. Just go and find out what time that is. I've done a tiny URL, which is JNT minus time, where you can look this up. And then you can join us and go to live.godless.ch or hangout.godless.ch if you want to come and chat to us. In 2 weeks, we're going to be on from 2 to 6, in other words, from 14 to 16 UTC. And it's going to be a live coverage from Speaker's Corner from London, from UK. See you then. See you next week. Cheerio. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.